This high-stakes saga kicked off on May 5, 2025, with jury selection, followed by opening statements on May 12. The trial is expected to run for 8 to 10 weeks, possibly stretching into July, as the prosecution builds its case against the hip-hop mogul who's been maintaining his innocence with not guilty pleas. What's got everybody talking isn't just the charges but also the visual of Diddy's squad rolling deep to the courthouse, his children walking in formation, showing mad solidarity for their pops despite the heat he's facing. Leading this family frontline are his sons Quincy Brown, Justin Combs, and Christian King Combs, whose presence has become a key piece of the puzzle, offering a stark contrast to the grimy allegations being thrown around by prosecutors. Christian King Combs, 26, who's following his father's blueprint in the music game as King Combs, has been the most visibly supportive of the bunch. He dropped his debut EP Sincerely C3 in 2019 and has made appearances on Making the Band and Wild 'N Out. In a touching moment that speaks volumes about the family dynamics, Christian was spotted holding an umbrella for his grandma Janice Combs on a rainy day outside the courthouse, showing that respect for elders runs deep, even when the family's facing the storm of their lives. But this display of family loyalty has been tested hard by the explicit testimony being presented. The prosecution claims Diddy was running a criminal enterprise through his business empire, getting into all kinds of dirt like sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice for 2 decades. Central to these claims are the infamous freak-offs, described as organized, drug-fueled sexual performances involving people who didn't want to participate. The graphic nature of this testimony has visibly shaken the family. During Daniel Phillips' testimony, a male stripper who was the prosecution's second witness, Diddy's twin daughters, Delilah and Jessie, had to bounce from the courtroom when things got too explicit. They came back briefly but dipped again when the descriptions kept getting wilder. Similarly, during testimony about alleged freak-offs, Chance, Jessie, and Delilah exited the courtroom, clearly uncomfortable with the details. This natural reaction to shield themselves from the disturbing content shows the tough spot these young adults are in, trying to have their father's back while facing potentially traumatic revelations about his alleged behavior. Despite these challenges, the sons, especially Justin and Christian, have remained solid. Their consistent presence throughout this mess serves multiple purposes. It humanizes Diddy for the jury, demonstrates family belief in his innocence, and offers an alternative narrative to the prosecution's portrayal of Combs as a predator. The impact of family support in high-profile trials like this can't be overstated. Jury perception can shift when they see defendants with strong family backing, potentially creating doubt about how bad the allegations really are. After all, would these successful young men ride so hard for their father if they believed the worst accusations? This unspoken question hangs in the courtroom air, potentially working in Diddy's favor. Outside the courtroom, Christian's support has taken a creative route. He dropped a diss track in May 2024 referencing the federal raid on his father's crib and a song in 2025 titled One More Prayer, expressing his need to hug my pops. These musical expressions of loyalty highlight the complex emotions Diddy's children are navigating as they deal with the public scrutiny and legal drama their father's facing. The emotional weight of the trial on the family became obvious on May 14, 2025, when the family formed a prayer circle in the courthouse lobby after Cassie Ventura's testimony, reinforcing their unity and faith during this nightmare. This powerful image of collective prayer amid legal drama speaks volumes about the family's coping mechanisms and their effort to find spiritual strength in the face of potentially devastating outcomes. Throughout the proceedings, Combs has acknowledged his children's presence with gestures like blowing kisses or making heart signs, maintaining that father-child connection despite the formal constraints of the courtroom. These small acts of love amid such serious proceedings highlight the human dimension of the trial, a father, regardless of the allegations, finding comfort in his children's unwavering support. This family connection extends beyond mere attendance. Reports suggest that Combs has been communicating with his children from lockup, maintaining his role as a father despite his confinement. In November 2024, while Diddy was in jail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, his children called to wish him a happy 55th birthday. A video showed Love, his youngest child, singing happy birthday and blowing out candles on a cake. Diddy responded, "I love y'all. I can't wait to see y'all. I'm proud of y'all, especially the girls. All of y'all, but just for being strong," he added. "Thank you for being by my side and supporting me. I got the best family in the world." Legal experts have weighed in on the potential impact of family presence during high-profile trials. DJ Academics, commenting on the case, noted the importance of public perception in such proceedings. "Do you think he's going to beat the case? So beating the case is not guilty on all counts. Absolutely not. I think he's going to get a guilty verdict somewhere, but I don't think the top counts are going to count or are going to matter right now. There's no way. So the RICO would be the top count. As the legal drama continues to unfold, the presence of Diddy's sons and other family members remains a constant, silent testimony to family bonds that transcend even the most serious legal challenges. The contrast between the disturbing allegations presented by prosecutors and the image of a father supported by his children creates a compelling tension that resonates beyond the courtroom walls, touching on universal themes of family loyalty, truth, and justice. The wild allegations and the Sun Street connections have added even more fire to the already blazing media coverage. As prosecutors build their case against Sean Diddy Combs, the courtroom has turned into a theater of the absurd, with testimony so shocking it's got even hardened legal veterans clutching their pearls. The main character in this testimony has been Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex and a key prosecution witness, whose account of their 11-year situationship, from 2007 to 2018, forms the backbone of the government's case. Ventura's testimony on May 13 and 14, 2025, painted a grimy picture of life with Diddy. She described being forced into freak-offs, drug-fueled sex performances with male prostitutes, which she said became like a job with no time to recover. These sessions allegedly involved male escorts and were often recorded, with Combs supposedly using the recordings as leverage to keep her in check. The explicit nature of her testimony had the courtroom shook, with Ventura getting emotional as she recounted experiences that left her feeling disgusting and horrible. The freak-off sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and frequently included a variety of narcotics such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, subjecting victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs. He reportedly hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. During her testimony, Ventura broke down in tears while describing the freak-offs and the abuse, especially when reflecting on how it made her feel. She testified that she wrote about her experiences in a book to process the trauma, wanting Combs to recognize the pain he put me through. Despite the graphic nature of her testimony, she kept it together, though she dabbed her eyes with tissues and adjusted herself, possibly due to her pregnancy. One of the most jaw-dropping revelations came when prosecutors dropped a bombshell. Cassie would testify that a male escort had performed a sexual act that required him to urinate on her during one of these freak-offs. This disturbing detail had people in the courtroom gasping and has been blowing up in media coverage of the trial. Adding weight to Ventura's testimony was a 2016 surveillance video from the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles showing Combs physically assaulting her. The video, which CNN got hold of in 2024, shows Combs wearing only a towel, chasing Ventura down a hallway, throwing her to the floor, kicking her twice, and dragging her. He also threw what looked like a vase. This concrete evidence of physical violence has been a tough look for the defense, though they've tried to frame it as evidence of domestic violence rather than sex trafficking. Israel Flores, a former security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel and now a Los Angeles Police Department officer, testified about responding to this 2016 incident. He talked about getting a call about a woman in distress on the 6th floor and finding Combs and Ventura in the elevator lobby. Flores noted that Combs was sitting in a towel and socks with a devilish stare, while Ventura had a purple eye, showing she'd been hit. Ventura declined Flores's offer to call the police, repeatedly saying she just wanted to bounce. Flores also testified that Combs approached him with a stack of cash, which he took as an attempt to bribe him to keep quiet about the incident. Further backing up the story was Daniel Phillip, a professional stripper and male review manager, who provided explicit testimony about his encounters with Combs and Ventura between 2012 and 2013. Phillip testified that he got paid to have sex with Ventura multiple times while Combs watched and handled his business. He witnessed Combs physically assault Ventura, including slapping her, dragging her by the hair, and throwing a liquor bottle at her. Phillip recounted one incident where Ventura literally jumped into his lap and was shaking, like literally her whole entire body was shaking. She was terrified. Amidst these shocking allegations, a significant side plot has emerged involving Diddy's sons, particularly Justin and Christian, who have faced their own legal heat and allegations connected to their father's lifestyle and businesses. Justin Combs has been named in an amended civil complaint filed by Rodney Jones, a producer who sued Diddy in February 2024. The complaint, which mentions sex trafficking 50 times, alleges that Justin was involved in activities related to Diddy's alleged misconduct. Specifically, Jones alleges Justin was involved in procuring underage girls for parties and in a 2022 shooting at a recording studio, claims which Justin has denied through his lawyer. Representatives for Justin issued a statement to NBC News categorically denying the allegations as absurd and promising to address them in court. No criminal charges have been filed against Justin, and his involvement appears to be peripheral to the primary claims against Diddy. However, these civil allegations cast a shadow over his presence in the courtroom and add complexity to the family's show of solidarity. Christian King Combs faces even more serious allegations. In April 2024, he was named in a civil lawsuit filed by Grace Mark, a woman who worked as a yacht deckhand during a Combs family trip in the Caribbean in December 2022. The 31-page lawsuit, filed in Los Angeles Superior Court, accuses Christian of sexual assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Mark alleges that Christian tried to force her to give him oral sex, which she refused. She claims to have audio evidence of the incident and photos showing bruises she got during the altercation. The lawsuit also named Sean Diddy Combs, holding him responsible for creating an environment of debauchery on the yacht, which allegedly involved suspected sex workers, drug-laced alcohol, and violence. Mark claims Diddy was responsible for the yacht's guests and crew. Aaron Dyer, an attorney representing both Christian and Diddy, called the lawsuit lewd and meritless, dismissing the claims as manufactured lies by the plaintiff's lawyer, who also represents another accuser, Rodney Jones. Christian hasn't been criminally charged in connection to this lawsuit, and the case remains in civil court. The alleged yacht incident is particularly significant as it echoes some of the broader allegations against Diddy regarding an environment of excess and exploitation. The lawsuit's claims about the yacht environment align with broader allegations against Diddy's lifestyle, suggesting Christian may have participated in or benefited from the culture Diddy allegedly fostered. Both Justin and Christian were briefly detained during federal raids on Diddy's Los Angeles and Miami homes in March 2024. During these raids, conducted by Homeland Security investigations as part of the investigation into sex trafficking allegations against Diddy, Justin and Christian were reportedly detained and seen in handcuffs. Video footage emerged showing 3 men, including the Combs brothers, in handcuffs at the Los Angeles property. However, there's no evidence that Christian or Justin were formally arrested or charged in connection with this raid. The detainment appeared to be temporary, likely for safety and control during the search. The raids were part of a broader investigation into Diddy, which culminated in his arrest on September 16, 2024, on charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The detainment of his sons was incidental to the search and not indicative of direct charges against them at that time. The prosecution has painted a picture of a criminal enterprise run through Diddy's business empire, including Bad Boy Entertainment, to facilitate crimes such as sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The indictment spans from 2004 to 2024, accusing Combs of abusing, threatening, and coercing women into freak-offs with the help of his inner circle. Given that Justin and Christian have been closely associated with their father's businesses and social circles, questions arise about their knowledge of or participation in the alleged enterprise. Legal experts have weighed in on the potential implications for Combs' sons. DJ Academics, discussing the case, noted the complexity of RICO charges and how they might affect associates. Yeah, because the other people end up being unindicted co-conspirators, where they may have not known that they were just working for him. They didn't know that what they're doing is crime, right? So it's like, hey, if I tell you go get the rope because I'm about to go tie somebody up for the kidnapping, but you're my assistant and you don't know that I'm going to go do that, you just think you're doing the job. This analysis suggests that even if Justin and Christian were involved in their father's businesses, they might not have been aware of the alleged criminal activities, potentially shielding them from legal liability. However, their close association with their father and presence at locations tied to the investigation places them in a precarious position of proximity to the allegations. The public perception of Diddy's sons has been significantly affected by the allegations against their father and the civil claims against them. Megyn Kelly, commenting on the case, expressed a harsh assessment of Diddy, though not specifically mentioning his sons. Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things. Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know it. The man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing. Nothing after this trial is done. This characterization of Diddy as depraved and disgusting inevitably casts a shadow over his sons, who have publicly aligned themselves with him through their court appearances and statements of support. The question of what they knew and when they knew it hangs over their heads, affecting how the public perceives their loyalty to their father. Brand expert Molly McPherson has discussed the severe reputational damage Diddy faces, which, by extension, affects his sons and anyone associated with his business empire. Are they all tainted by his name as well now? Yes. You know, it's interesting. When Sean Combs really became big, he embodied his brand. You know, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records. It's all about the artist representing, that energy, that edgy energy. McPherson continued to explain the lasting impact of this reputational damage. But now that type of energy and branding is really crucifying him, in terms of public perception, from a brand perspective, a business perspective. That's the type of currency they no longer want. That name is a tainted, toxic name for good. This assessment suggests that Justin and Christian, who have built careers in the entertainment industry partly through their association with their father, may face significant professional consequences, regardless of the trial's outcome. Christian's music career in particular, which is closely tied to Bad Boy Records, could suffer from the taint of association with his father's alleged crimes. The defense strategy in Diddy's trial has focused on characterizing the freak-offs and other activities as consensual, part of a swinger lifestyle, rather than criminal coercion. They have argued that while Diddy may have engaged in morally questionable behavior, it did not constitute federal crimes like racketeering or sex trafficking. The jury, while focused primarily on Diddy's guilt or innocence, cannot help but observe this family dynamic and perhaps wonder about the sons' roles in their father's world. What did they know? How much were they involved? And what does their continued support say about either their belief in their father's innocence, or something far more complicated?